Last session, I think we talked about how do you track your relationship with your donors. If you have a major donor of 20, 25, and other 20 donors who are giving less amount of money to your organization, you should have a goal for each of your donors. And this is where I think transformational fundraising will come in. You need to know them by names, and you need to have a goal for each one of them. No? So it really takes a personal knowledge, a personal relationship with your so they're not just names in your donor database, but you know them. You know who they are, you know what their struggles are, you know what their prayer requests are, and you want to be able to minister to them according to their needs. And that is where tools like fundraising database, fundraising software, donor software will help you, because you can put remarks about their current situation, their current prayer request. Your fundraising donor software can do that for you, and it can also warn you if it's their anniversary, if it's their birthdays, no? So you want to be able to minister to them at the time of their need. So tracking the relationship with them using the acronym AID. First, they cannot be part of your organization if first you did not get their attention. First, you have to get their attention. In that constituency map that you did as an exercise, they're just names. They may or they may not know you. You need to do something to catch their attention, to know that I am here, I'm an organization, and you are there, and there's something that we can do together to make our community a better place to live. So first, what are the things? These are the public relations things that we do. That's why you have special events. Special events may not necessarily bring in cash or bring in cash donations to your organization, but one of the goals of doing events is to raise awareness, to make your organization more visible in your organization. And then we talked a little bit about involvement, cultivating them so that they get involved in your organization. Letter D is the donation or dedication. So you want to know where are each of those names in your prospect list are in terms of their relationship to your organization. And you can develop different cultivation strategies. So the fourth in our phase or cycle of fundraising is you're now ready to solicit your prospect. And there are various types of donors. It's important that you know that there are different fundraising packets. There are casual donors who will just give because they're so used to giving. If you ask them for money, they will give. There are project donors. There are donors who are called bricks and mortar donors. They only want to give to something concrete, something tangible. So you have a building project, they will give to a building project. You have a feeding project, they will give to a feeding project. Now, core donors are also called regular donors. These are people who you have already cultivated their habit of giving to your organization. And that takes time and effort. And that's really the goal, no? For you to be able to have regular donors who will be your core. These are the people who support your operational fund. Major donors give larger amount of money than the core donors. The level of giving or category of a major donor may vary from organization to organization. It may be 1 million for one organization, but maybe for a smaller organization like ATS, 200, 300,000 may be considered a major donor. So depending on your organization, if you are, for example, Habitat for Humanity, they get billions of donation, and maybe the category for the major donor is higher than a new NGO that is just starting up, or maybe your budget is only 1 million, between 1 million to 5 million. So your major donor can be 10,000 pesos because your budget is just small. It's just 1 million compared to an organization that has 100 million peso annual budget. Mega donors are people who give the largest amount. They give the leadership gift to any campaign that you have. So we call them, we differentiate mega donors from major donors. Your major donors may be giving to your organization on a regular basis. A mega donor may not give to you on a regular basis. Maybe they will give you a one-time 10,000 peso gift, but that's it. Okay? Like, for example, Campus Crusade for Christ had a campaign, fundraising campaign for legacy gift. So they invited people who can give $1 million to World Vision. But this $1 million can be their lifetime gift. So you can do it on installment. You don't have to give $1 million one time. And there were Filipinos invited to that legacy giving. And I know some of them pledged to give $1 million to Campus Crusade for Christ. So how are people solicited? Like I said, they're solicited through programs and projects. What's the difference between a program and a project? Programs are more long-term, but projects have a time duration. Usually it's specific and it is time-bound. What are examples of this? Projects are special events. You have 30th anniversary banquet. That's an event, a special event. Or you have a calamity fundraising for a typhoon. For example, Yolanda, that's a project. You were raising relief funds for Yolanda. That's a project. A program is more like a long-term giving program. No, you've heard of organizations who have a giving club. Why do you have giving clubs? Like a bronze club, a golden circle, a silver circle. That's to give donors level, no? Because donors want to plug into something where they want to feel affiliated. They want to be affiliated to ATS, for example. So they're part of a golden club of ATS. But we don't have, no, ATS does not have a giving club right now. But it will be good to have giving clubs. I know PCEC at one time started a Macedonian society. And we know what Macedonian stands for, no? The Macedonian churches were givers. They gave to their mother church in Jerusalem when there was a famine in Jerusalem. So they started a Macedonian society. It's to encourage big givers to give to PCEC, the Philippine Council for Evangelical Churches. So programs can be giving societies, sponsorships is a example of a program. So you have people who give to World Vision because they are sponsoring X number of children. So that's long term. They give for several years. And if you continue your work, your relationship with them, they will continue to be part of the sponsorship program. So these are just examples of ways to solicit prospects through programs, through projects, through special events. But the idea is, when you solicit, you want to retain them and increase their giving over time. No? If they give a one-time gift, then you want to encourage them to give the second time. So that fundraising is really a cycle. So we're talking about the fundraising cycle. It's really a cycle, starting from getting your donors, or what we call in fundraising donor acquisition, no? Or name acquisition. From your constituency map, you can put names of people there. That's called name acquisition. So you have a list, and then you qualify that. You qualify the list. After qualifying the list, you cultivate your relationship with the prospects, and then you solicit. And then after they have given to your organization, you want to maintain that relationship with your donor. One time, I was a consultant to one of the NGOs here in Metro Manila, because they are a 30-year-old organization and they don't have a core of donors, meaning they don't have regular donors. And so when I audited their donor database, I found out that every year they have a set of new donors each year. And I found out that their fundraising strategy was to do an annual fundraising banquet every year. So people were encouraged to give during the banquet, but they don't do a follow-up. They don't do a follow-up, and they do a banquet every year. So every year they have new donors, but they're unable to build a relationship with the donor or ask them the second time, because you need to have to do certain activities for the first-time donor to give again and to make them into regular donors. So you need to maintain your donors, because it's harder to get new donors than to keep your old donors. Now, the research shows that it takes 60% more effort to gain new customers in terms of the corporate world, to get new customers than to keep the old customers, because cultivation takes time, whereas a cultivated donor will require less effort on the part of the organization to keep them giving, keep them involved or engaged in the organization. That's why donor maintenance is very important. How do you keep them giving? Thank them every time there is a gift. So we say, do the thanking before the banking. Make sure that you give the thank you letter or the thank you by phone or by email within 48 hours after the receipt of the gift. How do I keep them giving? Fulfillment is making good the pledge that they wrote. Maybe in a fundraising banquet, they did not insert a check in the envelope, but they tick a box where it says, I pledge to give X amount of peso. Now, how do you fulfill the pledge? You need to follow them up. You need to call them or write them a letter so that they will be reminded that they gave a pledge. Don't just wait for them to send you the check, because these may be busy people, so feel free to follow up. Recognition is giving them appreciation. giving them an official receipt for their gift is recognition enough. But there are organizations that provide donor appreciation evening or other ways to recognize donors. You can, if they're not bashful about their names being listed, you can publish their names in your newsletters. I know DCFE announces over radio the names of the donors in their most recent golf tournament. They thank the donors for a particular event, but that's if you have the privilege of having radio or television like the 700 Club. But if you don't, you have publications, you can publish their names to thank them. Affiliation, you can give them titles. You can give them honorary titles. For example, they were former board members or givers, donors to your organization. You can give them titles, emeritus titles, honorary titles. Continue to get them involved, continue to get them committed to your organization. And for each of these things, it takes certain, not just events, but programs that you need to do if you are doing institutional fundraising. So for the church, you don't need to do programs. You just need to preach the Word of God about giving, about generosity, about God's ownership, about stewardship. Just do this faithfully week after week, and I'm sure God is going to work in the hearts of people. That's why we like partnering with pastors, with the CSA, Christian Stewardship Association. We don't just provide training to organizations. We like to partner with pastors and churches because they're the ones who teach God's people about biblical truths, about discipleship, about spiritual maturity, about giving, about generosity. So the 3 R's are, you recruit, meaning that's name acquisition, retain them, keep them, and then you raise their level of giving. You raise their level of discipleship. You raise their level of stewardship so that the goal for each one is for them to be stewards who are rich towards God. Have you seen the fundraising pyramid? This fundraising pyramid shows you, this is your universe of constituents, universe of prospects. These are potential donors. So from that list you have in your constituency map, you turn them into donors. The first time donors, you turn them into repeat donors, no? And then you upgrade them to give more. Because as they grow as a steward, as they grow in their giving, they also grow in their contribution to your church and to your organization. Because you're not only teaching them to be prudent, to be wise investors, you're also harnessing the habit of giving into your donors. This is what we call last session moves management. No? You move them into higher level, no? As they become more generous givers. So the goal is move them up to higher levels. Not because you are greedy for their money, but because giving is good for them. It's good for them. That means when they give away their money, they love the Lord's work, they are not hoarding the wealth that God has entrusted to them. They are sharing it to the community. They are putting it to God's kingdom work through your church, through your nonprofit organization. Now let's see the inverted pyramid, fundraising pyramid. See, from the potential donors, the first-time donors, they form the base or the biggest percentage of givers in your organization because you're keeping the threshold low. Many people, more people can give smaller amount of money, right? Because it's easy to give smaller amount of money the first time. But you want to upgrade them. Upgraded donors, usually repeat donors, they're also called core donors. They're at the middle, and they comprise, this is 70%. No, first-time donors may be 70% of your donor database. And then the 20% are from repeat donors or upgraded gifts. Now, major donors only comprise a smaller percentage of givers, maybe only 10%. So fewer people give big amount of money, but more people can give smaller amount of money. That's why in fundraising, you have, for this part, you have mass marketing. You do mass marketing, right? But you have people in charge of major gifts. So you have perhaps 1 or 2 people who just relate visiting major donors on a regular basis. And the rest of the staff will be doing mass marketing. Mass marketing will involve the letter writing, the yearly fundraising letter, the special events, the sponsorship, and so on. But the special donors, so if you have 100 donors in your organization, you will have 10 major donors, and the rest of the 90 are regular and smaller givers. But each one of them is important. Each one of, even if they're just giving at the bottom level of your organization, these are people, not names, not just names in your donor database. They are people with never-ending soul, and we need to nourish their soul so that they grow spiritually, and their spiritual growth is expressed in their generous lifestyle, in their generous giving. And giving is one expression of their generous lifestyle. Now, let's look at the fundraising ratio. This is the Pareto principle at work. What is the Pareto principle? 20% of the people are able to produce 80% of the work. This Pareto principle is also in operation, is also operational in fundraising. 20% of the people in your donor database are capable of producing 80% of your gift income goal in your organization. So, let's look at the inverted pyramid. This is, remember this pyramid, 70% of your donors, 20% are upgraded gifts, and 10% are major gifts. Now, on the left side, this 10%, this 70% only give 10% of your income, your gift income. 20% at the core, and the 10% provide 70% of the gift income of your organization. That is why it's not showing favoritism when we visit our major donors person to person, or we ask the president or the board member, board chairman, to visit a major donor, because a major donor who gives 10 million to your organization wants also the CEO or the top person to visit them. Ganun yun eh. So we need to understand that it's like peer-to-peer, no? Peer-to-peer solicitation. And then the mass marketing, because we cannot expect to the President to visit all the 10,000 people. Otherwise, that will be all the job there is to the President. And we know that fundraising is just what? 1/3 of the job of a President or an Executive Director. And he has other job of running the organization and supervising those people below him. So we have people who do the mass marketing, but we also assign people to visit, do personal visit to major donors. So I hope you understand this. Do you have questions about the fundraising ratio or the fundraising pyramid? So you know now how to strategize and what methods to use for each of these fundraising category. Again, in one of my consulting, one organization had a plateau in their giving, and they have about, at that time, 15 years ago, there were 7,500 people in their donor database, giving anywhere from 100 pesos to 1 million per individual donor. And I found out why they plateaued in the giving from their regular direct mail. I found out that they have only one form letter for everyone. Either you're giving 100 pesos or 1 million, they only had one letter to send to their 7,500. And that's not the way to do it, because the mass marketing letter should be for the base, the 70% base, and the upgraded gifts. You need to have a customized letter for those people in the upper bracket, because these are investors to your organization. You cannot send them a form letter or a mass marketing piece. So you need to customize. In fact, if you have the time, it will be good to personalize the letter. Really write a personalized letter to each one of your donors if you have the time. So we will end here and come back at 1 o'clock.